You're about to discover why your dream home might become your worst financial nightmare. We're taking you on a journey through America's most dangerous real estate markets where the foundation isn't cracking because of poor construction. It's cracking because there's literally no water left to sustain what's been built on top of it. Right now, millions of Americans are house hunting in cities that are quietly running out of their most essential resource. These aren't ghost towns in the middle of nowhere. These are booming metropolitan areas where developers are still breaking ground on luxury subdivisions while the wells are going dry beneath them. We're talking about places where your mortgage might outlast the water supply. Think we're being dramatic? By the time we're done here, you'll understand why some of these cities are about to become the biggest real estate disasters in modern American history. Hit that subscribe button because what you're about to learn could save you from making the worst investment decision of your life. Let's start our countdown with number 10, and trust me, it only gets more shocking from here. Number 10, Austin, Texas. The live music capital of the world is facing a silent crisis that could turn your Austin dream home into a financial wasteland. You drive into this vibrant city, and everything screams growth and prosperity. The tech companies are moving in, the population is exploding, and new developments are sprouting up faster than bluebonnets in spring. The median home price has rocketed past $550,000 according to recent market data. That's nearly double what it was just 5 years ago. But here's what your real estate agent isn't telling you about Austin's water situation. The city sits on the Edwards Aquifer, the same underground water source that supplies San Antonio. But unlike San Antonio, Austin is also heavily dependent on surface water from local lakes and rivers. Sounds diversified, right? Wrong. Texas has been hit by increasingly severe droughts, and when the surface water dries up, everyone starts pumping from that same underground aquifer. Here's where it gets terrifying. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has been issuing warnings about groundwater depletion for years, but development continues at breakneck speed. Every new subdivision, every new tech campus, every new luxury high-rise is another straw in an already overtapped system. Austin Water has been forced to implement emergency conservation measures multiple times in recent years. Stage 2 water restrictions become the new normal during summer months. But the city keeps approving new developments because the tax revenue is too tempting to pass up. The hidden cost? Your water bills are about to skyrocket. Austin Water has already announced a series of rate increases to fund infrastructure upgrades and alternative water sources. We're talking about a 40% increase over the next 5 years. That dream home with the perfect lawn might come with a water bill that looks like a second car payment. Number 9. Denver, Colorado. The mile-high city offers stunning mountain views and a booming economy, but it's sitting on a water-time bomb that most residents don't even know exists. Denver looks like it has water everywhere. The South Platte River runs right through downtown, and you can see snow-capped peaks from your backyard. But here's the reality check that'll make your head spin. Denver gets most of its water from snowpack in those beautiful mountains you're admiring. Climate change is making that snowpack increasingly unreliable. Some years there's too much, causing floods. Other years, there's barely enough to last through summer. The median home price in Denver has climbed to around $600,000. You're paying premium prices for a city that's completely dependent on weather patterns that are becoming more unpredictable every year. Denver Water has been scrambling to develop alternative sources, including an ambitious project to pump water under the Continental Divide. These infrastructure projects come with a price tag that would make your eyes water. Denver Water has proposed rate increases of over 60% over the next decade to pay for these emergency measures. The city that once marketed itself as an outdoor paradise is now warning residents about potential water shortages during peak summer months. Your mountain view comes with a hidden subscription fee to uncertainty. Every winter, the entire region holds its breath waiting to see if there will be enough snow to keep the taps running through the following summer. Number 8. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Welcome to a city that's been living on borrowed time for decades. Albuquerque sits in the high desert of New Mexico, where the landscape is beautiful, stark, and completely hostile to the idea of supporting a metropolitan area of nearly 1 million people. The housing market here seems like a bargain compared to coastal cities. Median home prices hover around $350,000. But you're not buying a house in Albuquerque. You're buying a front row seat to watch a city slowly drain its own life support system. For decades, Albuquerque pumped water from a massive underground aquifer like there was no tomorrow. Well, tomorrow arrived. The aquifer level has dropped by over 160 feet in some areas. The city has been forced to switch to surface water from the Rio Grande, but here's the problem. The Rio Grande is increasingly unreliable due to upstream diversions and climate change. Some years, the river barely flows through the city. Other years, it's reduced to isolated pools surrounded by sand. Albuquerque Water has implemented some of the most aggressive conservation programs in the country, but they're essentially rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The city has invested hundreds of millions in water recycling and conservation technology, costs that are being passed directly to residents through skyrocketing utility bills. Your affordable home comes with a water bill that increases every year as the city desperately tries to engineer its way out of a crisis that probably has no long-term solution. Number 7. Tampa, Florida. The Sunshine State's hidden water crisis is happening in plain sight, and most people buying homes in Tampa have no idea what they're getting into. Tampa Bay looks like it has water everywhere. The Gulf of Mexico stretches to the horizon, and the region is famous for its beautiful beaches and waterfront lifestyle. But freshwater is a completely different story. Tampa gets its drinking water from underground aquifers that are being contaminated by saltwater intrusion. As the region pumps more freshwater out of the ground to supply explosive population growth, denser seawater creeps in from the Gulf to fill the void. This isn't a future problem. It's happening right now. The Southwest Florida Water Management District has been documenting increasing salinity levels in wells across the region for years. Some areas have already been forced to abandon wells that became too salty to treat cost-effectively. Tampa's solution is a massive desalination plant, one of the largest in the United States. It's an engineering marvel that turns seawater into drinking water. It's also incredibly expensive to operate. Those costs are passed directly to homeowners through water bills that have been steadily climbing for years. The median home price in Tampa has surged past $400,000, driven by people fleeing higher-cost states. But your Florida paradise comes with a hidden tax in the form of water bills that continue to rise as the region becomes more dependent on energy-intensive desalinated water. You're paying premium prices for a house in a region that's literally drinking processed seawater because it has contaminated its natural freshwater supply. Number 6. Tucson, Arizona. If you want to understand what the future of water-stressed America looks like, visit Tucson. This desert city has been at the forefront of water conservation for decades, not because they wanted to be environmental pioneers, but because they had no choice. Tucson sits in the Sonoran Desert, where annual rainfall barely reaches 11 inches. The city has always known it was living on borrowed time, but the recent boom in population and housing development has accelerated the timeline to crisis. The median home price has climbed to around $470,000, making it attractive to retirees and remote workers fleeing more expensive markets. But Tucson's water situation makes other water-stressed cities look abundant by comparison. The city gets water from 3 sources: the Colorado River, groundwater, and recycled wastewater. The Colorado River allocation is shrinking every year. The groundwater is being depleted faster than it can naturally recharge. That leaves recycled wastewater as the growth option, and there's only so much of that to go around. Tucson Water has implemented some of the most innovative conservation programs in the country. They pay residents to remove grass lawns. They've built elaborate systems to harvest rainwater. They recycle nearly 100% of their wastewater. It's impressive, but it's also a desperate scramble to stay ahead of a math problem that may not have a solution. Your desert retirement home comes with water bills that reflect the true cost of living in a place that receives less annual precipitation than some cities get in a single storm. The city is essentially running a high-tech water recycling operation disguised as a municipal utility system. Number 5. Colorado Springs, Colorado. This picturesque city at the foot of Pikes Peak represents everything beautiful about Colorado living. The air is clean, the mountains are spectacular, and the quality of life seems almost too good to be true. Unfortunately, it might be. Colorado Springs depends heavily on snowpack and mountain runoff for its water supply. The city's reservoirs and treatment facilities are engineered around historical precipitation patterns that climate change has rendered obsolete. Some years bring devastating floods. Other years bring drought conditions that push the system to its limits. The median home price has climbed past $500,000 as people discover this mountain paradise. But Colorado Springs Utilities has been sounding alarm bells about water supply reliability for years. The city has been forced to implement increasingly strict outdoor watering restrictions during summer months. The utility has embarked on an ambitious project to develop alternative water sources, including groundwater wells and water recycling systems. These infrastructure investments come with a price tag that's being passed to residents through significant rate increases. Your mountain view comes with the uncertainty of never knowing if there will be enough snow each winter to keep your taps running through the following summer. The city markets itself as an outdoor paradise, but residents are increasingly restricted in how they can use water to maintain the landscapes that originally attracted them. Number 4. Fresno, California. Welcome to the heart of America's most productive agricultural region, where the water crisis is hidden behind a landscape of incredibly productive farmland. Fresno sits in California's Central Valley, surrounded by some of the most fertile agricultural land on Earth. The problem is that this productivity is entirely artificial. The Central Valley is naturally a semi-arid grassland that receives minimal rainfall. Everything green that you see exists because of massive irrigation systems that have been pumping groundwater and importing surface water for over a century. The median home price in Fresno hovers around $400,000, making it one of the more affordable options in California. But that affordability comes with a hidden cost that few homebuyers understand. The entire region is sinking as underground aquifers are drained faster than they can naturally recharge. This isn't a metaphor. The land is literally sinking. Some areas of the Central Valley have dropped by over 28 feet due to groundwater depletion. Infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and water systems, are being damaged by this subsidence. Fresno's water supply depends on a complex mix of groundwater, surface water from the Sierra Nevada mountains, and water imported through California's State Water Project. All of these sources are under increasing stress due to climate change, competing demands, and environmental regulations. The city has been forced to implement increasingly strict water conservation measures during drought years. Water rates have been climbing steadily as the city invests in infrastructure to access more distant and expensive water sources. You're buying a home in a region where the ground beneath your house is literally sinking as the water that once supported it is pumped away to maintain an unsustainable agricultural economy. Number 3. Las Cruces, New Mexico. This charming city in the high desert of southern New Mexico offers affordable housing and stunning mountain views. The median home price sits around $300,000, making it attractive to retirees and anyone seeking an affordable southwestern lifestyle. But Las Cruces faces a water challenge that makes other cities on this list look fortunate by comparison. The city sits above the Mesilla-Bolsón aquifer, which has been the primary water source for decades. Recent studies by the U.S. Geological Survey have revealed that this aquifer is being depleted at an alarming rate. The city gets some water from the Rio Grande, but the river flow has become increasingly unreliable due to upstream diversions and climate change. Some stretches of the river through Las Cruces run completely dry during certain times of the year. Las Cruces Utilities has been forced to drill deeper wells as the aquifer level drops. Deeper wells mean higher pumping costs, which are passed to residents through increasing water rates. The utility has also invested heavily in water recycling and conservation programs. Your affordable desert home comes with water bills that reflect the true cost of pumping water from increasingly deep underground sources. The city is essentially mining its water supply faster than nature can replenish it, which is not a sustainable long-term strategy for any community. Number 2. Bakersfield, California. This Central Valley city represents one of the most dangerous water investment scenarios in the country. Bakersfield sits in the heart of California's agricultural powerhouse, surrounded by some of the most productive but water-intensive farming operations in the world. The median home price hovers around $450,000, making it relatively affordable for California standards. But Bakersfield's water situation is a perfect storm of overallocation, climate change, and competing demands that creates a recipe for long-term disaster. The city depends on groundwater pumping and surface water deliveries from the State Water Project. Both sources are under extreme stress. The groundwater is being depleted so rapidly that the land is sinking at measurable rates. The State Water Project deliveries are increasingly unreliable due to environmental regulations and competing demands from urban areas. Bakersfield has been forced to implement some of the most restrictive water conservation programs in California during recent drought years. Residents face significant fines for outdoor water use violations. The city has invested hundreds of millions in groundwater recharge projects and advanced water treatment facilities. These infrastructure costs are being passed to residents through water rates that have more than doubled in recent years. Your Central Valley home comes with a water bill that reflects the desperate cost of engineering solutions to a fundamental supply and demand imbalance. The entire regional economy depends on agricultural production that requires massive amounts of water in a semi-arid climate. Homeowners are essentially subsidizing an unsustainable agricultural system through their water bills, while watching their property foundations settle as the ground beneath them sinks. Number 1. Henderson, Nevada. Here it is, the absolute worst place to buy real estate if you care about long-term water security. Henderson sits just outside Las Vegas in the Mojave Desert, where annual rainfall averages less than 4 inches per year. The city has been one of the fastest-growing communities in America for decades, with a median home price approaching $600,000. Henderson gets virtually all of its water from Lake Mead through the Colorado River system. Lake Mead is currently at historic low levels and continues to drop as demand from 7 states exceeds the river's capacity. The massive white bathtub ring on the canyon wall shows just how far the water level has fallen. But Henderson's situation is even worse than Las Vegas because it's newer and less established. While Las Vegas has decades of water rights and infrastructure, Henderson has been forced to scramble for increasingly expensive water supplies as it has exploded in population. The Southern Nevada Water Authority has invested billions in infrastructure to stretch their Colorado River allocation as far as possible. They've built elaborate water recycling systems, implemented aggressive conservation programs, and even constructed a pipeline to pump water from rural Nevada aquifers hundreds of miles away. All of these desperate measures come with a price tag that's passed to residents through some of the fastest rising water rates in the country. Henderson homeowners are paying premium prices for houses in a desert, while also paying premium prices for the engineering marvels required to keep water flowing to their taps. The city continues to approve new developments and welcome new residents while knowing that the fundamental water supply is shrinking every year. You're buying a house in a community that's engaged in an elaborate shell game to hide the fact that there simply isn't enough water to support the population that already lives there, let alone the continued growth that property values depend on. Henderson represents the ultimate real estate time bomb. Premium prices for homes that depend entirely on technological solutions to overcome basic mathematical realities about water scarcity in the desert. So there you have it. 10 cities where the American dream of homeownership comes with a hidden nightmare of water insecurity. These aren't distant problems that might affect future generations. These are immediate crises that are already showing up in your water bills, your property taxes, and your home values. The pattern is consistent across all these markets. Explosive population growth in regions that lack the natural water resources to support that growth, followed by increasingly desperate and expensive technological solutions that are funded through higher utility bills and special assessments. The real tragedy is that most homebuyers have no idea what they're getting into. Real estate agents don't mention water security during home tours. Mortgage lenders don't factor rising utility costs into affordability calculations. Municipal governments downplay water challenges to avoid scaring away the tax revenue that new development brings. But the math is simple and unforgiving. You can't sustain unlimited growth in regions with limited water supplies. Eventually, something has to give. In some cases, it will be home values as the true costs of living in these areas become impossible to ignore. In other cases, it will be entire communities becoming uninhabitable as water supplies are exhausted or become too expensive for average residents to afford. The water crisis isn't coming to American real estate markets. It's already here, hidden in plain sight behind rising utility bills, increasing water restrictions, and municipal bond issues to fund desperate infrastructure projects. Before you buy that dream home in a water-stressed market, ask yourself one question. Can you afford not just the mortgage, but the true long-term cost of living in a place that's running out of its most essential resource? Because that's a bill that comes due every month for as long as you own that house, and it's only going to get more expensive. The American dream is becoming a subscription service to engineered solutions for problems that probably don't have sustainable answers. Make sure you can afford the monthly payments before you sign up. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden costs of homeownership in water-stressed markets, hit that like button and subscribe for more investigations into the real estate trends that could make or break your financial future. And let us know in the comments. Are you reconsidering that move to a Sunbelt city, or do you think technology will solve the water crisis before it affects home values? The clock is ticking, and the meter is running.